The Miami Heat are currently the best team in the National Basketball Association. The Miami Heat began their quest for NBA dominance before last season, acquiring Chris Bosh from the Toronto Raptors and LeBron James from the Cleveland Cavaliers, making them an instant favorite to win the NBA title last year. During the first season together, they had very little team chemistry. Playing with a young coach, they had all played together for less than a season, while the top echelon teams had played together for multiple years. They still managed throughout all this hardship to reach the NBA Finals last season. They are currently third overall in the NBA at 27 wins and 7 losses, better than teams such as the Orlando Magic, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Dallas Mavericks, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Boston Celtics. The Miami Heat are currently second overall in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat are first overall in the Southeast Division. They're 15-2 while playing at home, which is the best in the East and the second best overall in the entire league. They're 12-5 on the road, which is the second best road record in the entire National Basketball Association. They're 21-4 in conference play, meaning against other teams in their conference. That is the best conference play record in the East, which makes it more likely for them to advance through the East in the playoffs, because that's the teams that they will be playing against. They also have the best conference play in the NBA, meaning that as opposed to teams from the West making it through their division, they're much more likely to advance to third division in the playoffs. The Miami Heat also have the best point differential in the league, and they win by an average of 9.4 points per game. They're currently on an NBA-leading 8-8 game winning streak. One of the issues in the past that people believe that the Miami Heat had was their lack of ability to win in tight-knit situations, and this year they are 3-0 in games decided by 3 points or less. The Miami Heat are also 15-4 versus teams that have a 500 record or better, meaning they've won more games than they've lost. More than 50% of their games have been victorious, and they're 15-4 against those teams who have records that are better than 500. The teams that are better are the most likely teams to be in the playoffs, meaning they're 15-4 against teams likely to be in the playoffs. They're also 12-3 against teams below 500 rating, meaning they've lost more than 50% of their games, meaning that it's a lot less likely for an upset to happen against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are 8-2 in the Central Division, which is the division that their Eastern rivals, the Chicago Bulls, are in. The Oklahoma City Thunder is the team that's likely to come out of the West this year. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, while they haven't played the Heat, are only 1-1 against the Heat's division. Miami is ranked number 1 overall in the Hollinger Power Rankings, which are rankings for the NBA's best teams based on performance as well as record. And the Miami Heat have been number 1 in Mark Stein's Power Rankings for 5 straight weeks. The Miami Heat are not the best team in the National Basketball Association. The Miami Heat sold their future last year for a ring that they did not even win. They gave up a total of 4 future first-round draft picks, 2 to the Cleveland Cavaliers and 2 to the Toronto Raptors, as well as 2 future second-round draft picks to the Cleveland Cavaliers during the trades for All-Stars LeBron James and Chris Bosh. The 3 All-Stars took up so much cap space that it left the Miami Heat with little to no room for bench players or role players to assist the All-Stars. The Miami Heat were heavily favored throughout the entirety of the season and were made to win a ring. However, in the NBA Finals of last year, they lost to the Dallas Mavericks. The team ahead of the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference this year is the Chicago Bulls, which has the reigning MVP Derrick Rose leading it, which is also where the Eastern Conference is likely to go through in terms of home court advantage. The best team in the conference is what team has home court advantage throughout the entirety of their playoffs, meaning that the Bulls will likely control home court. The team that the Miami Heat are behind in the West in overall record is likely soon to be the Western Conference champions, the NBA Finals contenders, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Clearly, the Heat are a much better team at home than on the road based on their record. And in order to win the NBA playoffs, you have to be just as good at home as you are on the road and vice versa. In order to win in a setting where it's 2 games at home, 2 games on the road, 2 games at home, 2 games on the road, one game on the road, one game at home, one game on the road, one game at home, one game on the road, one game at home, and you're switching off, you need to be equally good both on the road and home. The Miami Heat are not only the only good team on the road anyway. Their rivals, the Chicago Bulls, are currently 15-6 on the road this season. The Oklahoma City Thunder are also boasting a strong road record in the West, which is considered a tougher road conference overall, with 13 wins and only 6 losses. Chicago Bulls are also proving to be extremely clutch this season, tying the Heat in games decided by 3 points or less with 3 wins and 0 losses. And while the Miami Heat may be undefeated in games decided by 3 points or less, they're only 1-2 in overtime situations. The Oklahoma City is 17-5 against teams that are 500 or better. And the Miami Heat are only 6-3 against the Western Conference, which is the Oklahoma City Conference. While the Chicago Bulls, however, are 10-2 against the Western Conference. The Chicago Bulls are 7-2 against the Southeast Division, which is the division the Miami Heat are in, and Oklahoma City Thunder are 7-1 against the Eastern Conference as a whole. Miami has yet to play the Oklahoma City Thunder this year in the regular season, and they are only 1-1 against the Northwest Division, which is the division of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Currently, LeBron James is averaging 27.4 points per game, which is the 3rd overall best points per game in the National Basketball Association this year. Mike Miller of the Miami Heat also has the best 3-point field goal percentage in the league at .517, which means for every 517 3-point shots he takes, he is going to make, for every 1,000 3-point shots he takes, he's going to make 517 of them. LeBron James also had a double-double in his only meeting against the Chicago Bulls, going for a monstrous 35 points and 11 rebounds. Chris Bosh also recorded a double-double, going for 24 points and 12 rebounds. In the meeting against the Chicago Bulls, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James combined for 74 points, averaging roughly 24.6 points per person. The Miami Heat defeated the Chicago Bulls on January 29, 2012, 97-93. Kevin Durant is second in the league this year, averaging 27.7 points per game, and is the captain of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Also on Durant's team is Russell Westbrook, who is averaging 23.5 points per game and is 5th overall in the league. This means that 2 of the top 5 scorers in the National Basketball Association play for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is likely to be an NBA final competitor against whoever comes out of the East. The Miami Heat, however, have no one in the top 5 in rebounding, but claim to be the number 1 team in the NBA. They also have no one in the top 5 in assists per game. The Miami Heat also do not have a player in the top 5 in blocks per game, while Serge Ibaka of the Oklahoma City Thunder is number 1 overall in the entire league, averaging 3.2 blocks per game. In the only regular season game versus the Bulls this year, Dwayne Wade struggled extremely difficultly and only had 15 points and was 4 for 16 shooting from the field. Being a great team in the NBA doesn't mean being the best team at the end of the regular season. Being the best team in the NBA means winning it all come playoff time. And in the playoffs, the Miami Heat have shown that they are a team to be reckoned with. Dwayne Wade averaged 24.5 points per game in the playoffs last year. LeBron King James added 23.7 points per game during the 2011 playoffs. Chris Bosh added an additional 18.6 points per game on average in the 2011 playoffs, meaning they were averaging roughly 65 points a game between the 3 of them alone. Along with 23.7 points per game, LeBron James also averaged 5.9 assists per game during the playoffs of last year. LeBron James and Chris Bosh led the NBA in the amount of double-doubles last year in the playoffs. They both had 8. A double-double is when you have 2 stats such as blocks, steals, assists, points, and that are in the double digits, meaning 10 points, 10 assists, or 10 rebounds, 10 points, or 10 rebounds, 10 steals. LeBron James also recorded a triple-double last year, meaning that during the 2011 playoffs, meaning that he had 3 stats that were all in the double-digit range, meaning 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, 10 steals, 10 blocks, whatever it may be. LeBron James, during the during the 5-game playoff stretch versus the Chicago Bulls last year, pulled 3 of his 8 triple-doubles, and Chris Bosh also pulled 1 of his 8 triple-doubles against the Chicago Bulls last year. In the playoffs last year against the Chicago Bulls, of his 8 triple-doubles against the Chicago Bulls last year. In the playoffs last year against the Chicago Bulls, LeBron James averaged 25.8 points per game, and Chris Bosh averaged 23.3 points per game against their Eastern Conference rivals. During the 2011 NBA playoffs, LeBron James averaged 26.4 efficiency rating, which was 4th overall in the NBA, and Dwayne Wade averaged 24.9 efficiency rating, which was 6th overall in the NBA during the playoffs of last year. One of the biggest falters that teams can make against the Miami Heat is sending them to the free throw line, averaging approximately 80% free throw shooting throughout the playoffs, meaning 8 for 10. The last thing you want to do is send them to the line. Last year, the Eastern Conference rivals of the Miami Heat player Joakim Noah was averaging 3.9 fouls per game, which was 7th overall in the 2011 NBA playoffs. The Miami Heat beat the Chicago playoffs, which will likely be their contender in the Eastern Conference Finals this year, 4-1, meaning that they won 4 games and Chicago only won 1. The Miami Heat were built to win last year, but did not. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Miami Heat are proving to critics over and over again that they are truly the best player-for-player team in the NBA, and possibly someday will be. Last year, Kevin Durant was the #1 scorer of the NBA playoffs, averaging 28.6 points per game. Derrick Rose of the Chicago Bulls was the 3rd best scorer in the NBA playoffs of last year, averaging 27.1 points per game. Derrick Rose also was 3rd in the NBA playoffs in assists per game, averaging 7.7 assists, while Russell Westbrook of the Thunder averaged 6.4 assists per game in the playoffs of last year also. Joakim Noah, while averaging 3.9 fouls per game, also averaged 2.06 blocks per game, which was the 5th best in the NBA playoffs. Derrick Rose accomplished 6 double-doubles. Kevin Durant had a 26.5 efficiency rating, and Derrick Rose had a 21.9 efficiency rating, which were 3rd and 10th best in the NBA playoffs, respectively. How can a team with so much talent fail in the playoffs? LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade were expected to win multiple rings by now, making LeBron James possibly just another great player. In order to have the best team in the game, you must have the best players in the game, and you must be equally the best team on offense and defense. The Miami Heat have yet to prove that they are the best team by winning an NBA title, and until that, I still say that the Dallas Mavericks are the best team currently for the playoffs, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team during the regular season, and the Chicago Bulls are the best team in the Eastern Conference.